Welcome back to Sprague Homestead. I'm Kanan.
And I'm Nikki.
And today, let's talk about homesteading and if it's really going to save you money. So the other day, somebody had said that I talk in my videos a lot, especially on solar, about saving money. And they thought, it's not about saving money. So I just thought, man, really? Homesteading isn't about saving money? So I came up with 5 scenarios where we've talked about if it's going to save you money. And I'm going to be bad cop, and I'm going to tell you, my reasons say homesteading is a waste of money. So, item 1. This summer, Nikki has been spending, about 5 months moving goats around the backfield?
Oh no, nowhere even close. We didn't start till the end of June.
All right, so let's say 3.5 months. Nikki's been moving 4 to 7 goats. Every day, she moves them, 50 feet or so, and she spends gas with the truck. She moves them out and lets them forage on natural feed. Now, it has saved us probably, I don't know how much hay, but it saves us a flake a day, and we've probably spent, let's say, this summer, less than a bale of hay to feed.
Oh yeah, way less than a bale. I bet I haven't gone through a quarter of a bale. I think we figured out the other day we should have gone through about 10 with those same goats.
All right, so we saved
$150.
$150. Now, Nikki spends at least 30 minutes every day moving those goats.
On average, yeah.
On average. And she also has to move the truck. So she uses a little bit of gas. Granted, it just pulls forward, pulls the trailer, and then I asked her to let it run to make sure it keeps the battery nice and charged and the fluid cycled. So, do you think that's really saved us $150 knowing you've spent about 40 hours this summer moving goats?
Well, if you look at just my time versus what we've saved, probably not. But what we're doing is twofold. There's actually probably more than that. We've been clearing fire lines.
Right.
Where we couldn't use the tractor this summer.
Okay.
If I had used a tractor, it would have taken me at least that much time, plus diesel on top of everything. So the goats are eating. The sagebrush is getting cut back, which means that we'll get more grass next year. And we're fertilizing as we go. So really, you're looking at it and saying, oh, well, you paid yourself like $3.50 an hour. But what I'm looking at is how many hours on the tractor did I save myself? Now I don't have to manure spread this fall. I didn't have to manually go cut any of that down. And I didn't have to clean all the fire breaks myself multiple times this year. So, did it save me money? Yeah, I'm going to take it as a win. It saved me a lot of time overall. And it saved me a little money.
Okay. Item 2. We previously made a video on how much it costs to raise chickens to get eggs. And I can tell you, after building buildings that were about $1,000 a piece years ago, not today's wood rices, you can do that. But years ago, we built buildings for them. We've raised chickens from chicks and all the way from eggs, from incubation all the way up. And chicken feed is getting to be, $18 to $20 a bag for 40, 50 pounds?
I think the last time I bulk bought, I got it for $16.50 a bag.
So when eggs were like $1 or $2 a dozen and they were plentiful in the grocery store, was it cost effective to raise your own eggs?
No, not strictly on feed, no.
So now, half the time we go to the grocery store, there's people almost like fighting over eggs because there's so few.
Yeah.
If there's any.
Yeah, the price has gone up.
And the price has gone up. So today's market, let's say you started from scratch. If you built a building and it took you 6 months to get chicks from the store that you pay now $4 a piece for, all the way till eggs, do you think it'd be worth it?
Not if you're trying to pay for your infrastructure in the first year.
Okay.
We actually figured ours out over 20 years because those buildings will last at least 20 years.
Right.
So, just eggs, man, I don't know. I've always thought, we've done the whole egg selling thing. If you're free ranging a little bit or doing alternative feed, it might be more worth it. With feed prices today, I don't know that it is per se, But with our chickens, we aren't just doing eggs either.
True.
We hatch, we sell hatched birds, we sell raised up birds, we eat a lot of them. And, you know, I think it's worth it in the long run. Mostly because starting this next year, we're going to be doing the same thing where a lot of the chickens are going out to mobile coops.
Right.
And we'll be cleaning and fertilizing as they go.
True. So would you say it's saving us money to do this?
I would bet right now on our scale we're only about breaking even.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. So
But there's something to be said for knowing what's going into your food too.
I'll agree with that. So item 3, the garden. We have spent, I don't know how much over the last 8 years building a garden from dirt. We tried in-ground, it really didn't work here, so we did raised beds. And we've spent, I don't know how much on getting raised bed material in here, getting them built. And there's been years that we had really good success, that we had buckets and pounds of potatoes, and we had plenty of that. We've canned, we've done everything else. And there's been years that, well, we just flat got to the end, we're like, boy, I don't know if this is really worth it. So, is raising a garden gonna save you money as a homesteader?
Again, I think it's the long term. A lot of our wood we got for free. And yeah, we've had to buy soil for them, which is kind of expensive. But that's also a garden, you know, that's already been in 8 years.
Right.
So, you know.
Expensive on the front end, not so much.
Expensive on the front end. And there again, we have to raise bed. If you're doing it in the ground, it's probably way more cost effective.
Yeah.
But we can't hardly grow grass in the ground here. The only thing we're good at growing in the ground here is sagebrush, so that doesn't really work for us.
Right.
Raised bed gardening, it's expensive. It just is to get set up. But in the long term, yeah, I mean, we've had years where I have canned. That one year that we had peppers and tomatoes coming out of our ears and zucchini,
right,
I probably canned $1,000 worth of produce. I mean, it was crazy. I was so tired of looking at all of it.
Speaking of waste of money, hello.
So, yeah, no, I is a garden worth it? Again, there is something to be said for the fact that I know exactly what herbicides and pesticides, none, is being used on my produce. And
right.
That to me is huge.
And our produce never gets recalled for listeria, salmonella, plastic, whatever else has been in the news lately.
Yeah, no, I don't have any of that problem.
All right, so item 4. How about firewood? This year we made the decision just because we were just so slammed on time that we would buy firewood. And if you've watched our other stuff, it's been a rough deal with buying firewood this year. But in years past, we've bought firewood, and it was a good price. It was exactly what we paid for. We got the exact quantity we needed, and you know, it saved you time. They brought you a winter's firewood of donuts in like 3 or 4 days, and it was all worked out. It was great. This year has not been that case. It's been fraught with problems.
That's an understatement.
Of getting, you know, what we needed and everything else. So do you think it saves you money though, because you don't have to go cut it yourself, even if you split it yourself?
Well, okay, I'm going to say firewood in general, because I don't know that we paid any more than what it would cost us as far as time and fuel and all the rest of it. The big thing is, especially this year, judging from the articles that I'm reading about how high gas prices, and that's propane, natural gas, and gas is getting ready to get, oh yeah, firewood's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it to have somebody else go cut it and then deliver it, and you split it or not split it? Or... That's
about 50-50, but I don't think it really cost us much more than it would have if we'd have done it ourselves.
I can tell you in the time frame, just how walk out to the splitting area and split wood and bring it down here, you know, the 500 feet or whatever it is to bring it down to the bin, that you can do that on your free time. I can tell you it saves us a lot of time.
Free time. What is this free time of which you speak?
I know, but it saves us time to have everything here brought locally and then just shuffle it back and forth as we can.
Well, and the other nice thing about it is because we've bought and somebody has gotten it off of other areas, I've still got a ton of trees and years worth of firewood to do here.
Right.
So
I've
kind of kicked the can down the road a little bit while the prices were still a little low.
Right.
So yeah.
So item 5, now this kind of goes back to the egg thing a little bit. Nikki had mentioned that a lot of the chickens that we do raise, we keep for ourselves and we raise our own meat. But in addition to that, you guys have seen that we do quail, we do rabbits, we may do some goats in the future if things don't turn around a little bit on goats.
And I'm looking at sheep.
And she's now looking at adding in some sheep here to the homestead. So raising meat of any type. Now you can break it down if you want to into if it's poultry, if it's hoof stock, if it's anything else. But do you think on a general, raising your own meat saves you money?
Well, okay, so again, it's going to come down to what your feed inputs are. So I figured out that the quail, saves me money. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, you can't buy quail in the store exactly, but I kind of went with just like an organic type chicken price, and it works out. I priced it the first time with Cornish, like the little Cornish game hens, because I mean they're even a little bit bigger than quail, but not really. It's about a break even. But there again, it's about I'm feeding them commercial feed. We experimented a bunch this summer. They like cucumbers and they like
mealworms,
greens. I'm doing mealworms for them now. Yeah, there's a lot of things, and that's going to be my focus of this next year is what does it really cost to raise quail for meat. I've spent this last year just kind of getting to know them a little bit, trying to understand them before I made that decision. But it's kind of the same thing in rabbits. It depends on what are you feeding them and what is your growth rate. Because remember, growth, the efficiency of food conversion drops off after 10, 12 weeks. Well, we do breeds that often are not 5 pounds until 14 weeks. And that's just the breed. It's just kind of the way it is. So, are my Harlequins terribly efficient? No. But if you've been to buy rabbit, it runs about $10 a pound.
Right.
So yeah, we do actually come out on the positive side of that. Chickens, heritage stuff does not put as much meat out as Cornish, and it takes a lot longer. I would say we at best break even. But it all still comes down to, I know what goes into them.
Right.
I know they're not eating chicken manure, and I know they're not eating, styrofoam or what. Well, I mean, usually our goats will eat anything. But yeah, I think it's worth it. If I had to take everything in to be processed, because we butcher almost everything ourselves at home, if I had to take it to be processed, I'd probably lose money on it.
Right.
I would imagine. But
again, I think going back to the eggs, there's something to be said knowing that if things get light in the freezer or the pantry or anything else, that you have the ability to go generate that meat. Even if it's just, I've got a dozen chickens sitting out there waiting to be processed, you do that on a Saturday morning, and then you let them sit for a few days in a cooler, and then you process them, you can them, you grind it up, whatever it is. Being able to generate that when there are people, how many times you go see every day, flies, of course, how many times you see every day that somebody just, it says, oh, I've got a family of 6, and this is something you had said the other day, somebody had said, I've got a family of 6, I went in to get a cup of coffee on the way to the store, and, well, they really didn't have anything I liked at the coffee place, so I went to the store, and I got in the middle of the grocery section, and I looked around and realized half of what I wanted wasn't even there.
Yeah, that was in one of my prepper groups.
Right. So how often does that happen, that you go in to buy meat that isn't there, and what is there now isn't that great a quality, and it's double what you've been spending over the last 2 years?
And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Well, and with the other thing is you get a lot of control yourself, right? So when I'm getting a little light on something in the freezer, whether that's rabbit legs or ground meat or whatever, when I know I'm getting to a certain point, I just go breed a couple more of those.
Right.
And I know roughly what my timeline is. If I'm in a hurry for it, I breed some of the bigger rabbits. If I don't really care, then I breed some of the smaller ones. And I know going in exactly, I control the level of my food supply.
Right.
I'm not overrun.
Right.
Because I know exactly, how many I need to breed and how often. So.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think I do. I think doing your own meat probably saves you money.
Probably does save you money on some level. Okay, so there's 5 things we talked about, right? We got eggs, we got moving the goats around, doing firewood, raising the garden, and raising your own meat. That bad cop says, I don't know, that's pretty debatable if you can actually save money doing it yourself homesteading. Good cop says, oh yeah, you can definitely save money in the right scenario, right? There's ways to lose money on everything, but there's definitely ways to make money on everything.
Yeah, like the people that bought I Am Samani chickens this year to do eggs, and they don't lay hardly any.
Yeah, they lay like a dozen eggs in a year or something.
Or people trying to butcher excess leghorns. They don't do much either.
Right.
So definitely ways to screw it up. Not saying that that's not the case.
But there's definitely ways to save money. And I think that's probably the challenge. How do you find the balance of what is going to save you money or what is going to cost you money? And is it that cost is worth it to you for convenience or...
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff too to homesteading. Canning and baking breads and tons of other stuff.
So what do you guys think? Out of these 5 things, what do you think? Are there ways to save money? And is there anything you'd add to that? What do you guys do on your homesteads to save money to, invest it back in the homestead or doing other things?
Yeah. That's all I had too.
All right. So that's perfect. We'll wrap it up there. You guys leave your comments down below. If you want to chime in, jump in there in the comments and like, subscribe, and do all the fun stuff. And we will see you next time for Sprague River Homestead.
Happy homesteading.